25 years. I work at Design Collective, so I walk down Pratt Street every day or bike, depending on the weather. Today was fun. Also, I've been living on Fawn Street for about 9 years now, so we love our little neighborhood. And I just wanted to say I'm coming at this not from the standpoint of no progress in Little Italy. That lot needs to be developed. It's just good urban design to do something. But I'm going to show you some real world analysis based upon the existing conditions, the zoning height, a few intermediate heights of potential buildings, and then the 300-foot plus tower that we're looking at. So this is oriented north-south, so just here's President Street, and it's probably a little small in the back, but I'll send slides out later. Here is Pratt, here's Fawn, here is Eastern Ave. Is everybody oriented? All right, so if we go into 3D a little bit here, again, here is the site we're talking about. Here's the parking lot. Now if I switch to our zoning height building, that's about what it looks like. About 11 stories. And you know, there's Avalon right next to us, just for scale. So you can see it's significantly shorter than Avalon. And I'm just going to turn shadows on so you can see what different hours of the day look like with this building. And I'll just kind of run through it slowly. It's probably a little dark or light, but you can see that building does not really affect the neighborhood very much in terms of shadow in the afternoon. Let's switch to 150-foot tower, which is still a little bit shorter than Avalon. So you can see it's about, 8 stories less than Avalon maybe. And we will look at shadows again. And this is today, so January 16th. And you can see the shadows are getting longer. So in the around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, most of Fawn Street is now in shadow. Now we're going to go up to 210 feet, which is the same height as Avalon. Sorry, this is a little awkward not looking at you, but looking at the screen, but we're doing our best here. Now at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the entirety of the central area of Little Italy is in shadow with that 210-foot building. You may ask, why did I pick these heights? I just kind of went between zoning height and 300 feet, and I picked a couple of intervals just to see what might be okay, what might feel right. And finally, let's go to the proposed tower, 305 feet. So you see it's significantly taller than Avalon. It's getting almost to the height of Marriott Waterfront here. And now at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have shadows across Pam's storefront, across Chip's, across my house on Fawn Street, and then all the way down to the Flatiron building by 3:30 in the afternoon. So I'm going to give you some data points here just to read them off, and I can again share these later. The amount of sunlight we would typically incur on a winter afternoon or a winter day is 7.5 hours. And this is for south and west facing facades. So this is all going to be affected by, if your immediate neighbor is the Avalon building, you're going to be in shadow a lot of the day anyway. So if we go to the zoning height, we have about a 15% reduction in sunlight during a winter day. All the way up to 305 feet, it is about a 38% reduction in sun hours. So what does that mean? That means we have less sunlight coming in for those that work from home. So it's a much less pleasant in the afternoon, much less pleasant experience. We have to heat our houses more. These are Civil War era houses that need heating anyway. Now we're going to have to heat them longer, more hours. means higher BGE bills already. And storefronts get less light, so it's just less pleasant inside. Outdoor seating areas, like at Chips or at Sabatino's or other places, just get less sunlight in case it is a nicer day. You just get less sun. So all of these things are, in my opinion, detrimental to the neighborhood above the zoning height of 125 feet. Again, this is all my opinion based upon the flat facts that are being revealed in this analysis software. Any questions about any of that? Or maybe we'll wait to the end.
I'm going to add one thing to that. So just one note is that what Andrew did is he pulled up that ground plane straight up. So the difference between what the architect wasn't lying to you in October, it's just that he didn't design a building that was pulled straight up. So this is like, if you just, say extrude up to 125 feet. So one thing to note is if you change the design of the building, which the architect did, it would change how the shadows are impacted. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You will still be in shade in the afternoons, in the winter especially. But it is going to change a little bit. And I think that was one thing that the architect had looked at pretty closely, is reducing it so that the shade was mostly towards the south. So I don't want you to think that he was lying to you, because he wasn't, but it is something to keep in mind.
And I haven't seen the full architectural design of it, nor am I going to critique the design of it, but...
Well, no, but a zoning change is irrespective of the development, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but I just didn't want you to think the architect was lying to you at the last, because he showed shade diagrams as well. So I just wanted to clarify the difference between the two.
So here's a side-by-side comparison. This is, on the left is existing with no development. Middle is the zoning height. Far right is the tower, 305 feet. And I'll just put a couple of pins to show you a little bit of the data. So on facades along Fawn Street, you see 7.2, 6, and 4.9 hours of sunlight. And then we'll go over here to maybe the front door of Chiparelli's, 5 hours, 4.2, 3.2. So you can see the obvious effects that are happening here. The next thing I want to talk about is microclimate, and I don't have a great graphic about microclimate because it's a feel, it's a temperature feel. In the summer months, this is revealed that it's going to feel generally 5 degrees warmer in the neighborhood, and I don't have a data analytic point to convey other than what that's revealing. It's a combination of humidity, wind, solar access, and again, this is all summer. It's going to be hotter. It's going to feel warmer. So imagine our poor dogs walking around on hotter sidewalks. All right, so now we're on to wind. So this is some high-level wind analysis. So here we are looking down. We're looking down Fawn Street. And this is wind from the east. Wind is not typically coming from the east, but a couple of weeks ago we had a fairly significant rainstorm and it was all coming from the east. So that more extreme conditions do come from the east and southeast off the ocean. So here we can see existing condition on the left, tower on the right. This takes a lot of computational power, so I'm not doing them all side by side. What you can start to see with this tower, again, as was noted, this is just an extrusion, it is not the actual architecture, but you can start to see wind peeling around this building, and it's going to start to cause, and back to the CHAP designation, it's a pedestrian-friendly development. So this area here is starting to get really intense wind as it comes around the corner of the building. That's the end of Fawn Street as its president. We all walk down that direction to go to Columbus Circle in the harbor. I have seen some studies that wind circles and does a vortex behind the tower. I've not been able to recreate that, so I'm not really going to talk confidently that would happen, but I do think we should demand further wind studies from the design architect once they get moving on that point. So I'm going to wrap there. We could keep going on and on, but I do want to open up for questions for both of us.